Hi, my name is Archer Ferris, and this will be my group presentation. So, I'm sure we've all dealt with some form of anxiety in the past, but in teens and young adults is a very rapidly growing and serious problem. A survey done by Pew Research Center showed that about 70% of teens stated that anxiety is a major problem and it's only getting worse. The program that I will be doing will be targeted at boys and girls grades 11 through 12. So, how does physical activity help? Well, there have been numerous studies showing the benefits of physical activity on mental health and mental state, but also the impact of aerobic activity on anxiety more specifically. They have showed that there's decreased symptoms of depression and overall anxiety when partaking in regular physical activity, and again, more specifically, aerobic activities. There have also been several studies that have shown the benefits of being in nature and what it does to symptoms of anxiety, showing a positive correlation between more time in nature and decreased symptoms of stress and anxiety. So, going into the logic model, it starts with finding the need or demand for this program, then moves into the needed resources, which would be getting the necessary funding for running everything, finding volunteers and instructors for certain activities, uh, finding the different locations to facilitate these activities, which, them being done in nature, shouldn't be as big of a problem, but being in the climate that we're in, winter happens, so finding specific indoor places, getting potential partnerships, which would also help with funding, and getting the right advertising to get the word out about this program. Then we'll get into the processes, which would be finding and getting the target population for this program, um, running the programs, and training volunteers on specific needs that they would have to go through. And then outcomes. So, short term, uh, get 1 to 2 schools, uh, people grades 11 and 12, and get college students as volunteers. Midterm, expand into neighboring counties, high schools, add specialized trainers as volunteers, so people more specialized in mental health, working with populations, and people specialized in certain forms of training, like we'll get into this later, but Zumba or yoga. And then help reduce the negatives of anxiety. And then long term, expand across the country. Hopefully, make this a nationwide program. So, what's the purpose of this program? Well, first off, it's to give high school students a way to deal with anxiety in a healthy way. Because I know personally, whenever I was in high school and I was diagnosed with anxiety, my first reactions weren't necessarily the healthiest. Um, but hopefully, this would help change this for others. Secondly, it's to allow them to connect and socialize with people going through similar situations and struggles. Um, People diagnosed with anxiety often have compounding side effects of depression, which, when put together, can lead people to isolate, um, keep things in, not really talk to anyone, which can only make symptoms worse for these sort of conditions. So, this program will help allow them to connect with others and hopefully um, decrease these negative side effects, which leads into help lower overall stress in young adults. That is the main purpose and hope of this program, or one of the main. And then also teach the benefits of physical activity and being in nature. So, what are the overall goals for this? Well, short term, start with 1 or 2 local high schools in the area, whether it be Clarion Limestone, Forest, AC Valley. Um, Hopefully, get them to allow us to do this program in their high schools. Then move on to midterm, expand into more high schools in neighboring counties, move into Venango, Jefferson. Then long term, eventually make this a nationwide program. That is the overarching goal or ideal of this program. So, what are the activities that will be going on? Starting more broadly, this program will happen year round. Uh, it will take place once a week. We will be doing varying activities, primarily done outdoors. But again, with being where we're at, sometimes I have to move it indoors. Activities will take about 2 hours, give or take, and each session will start with a lesson on relaxation exercises to help. But then getting into more specific, the session will start with 30 minutes of teaching different relaxation and grounding exercises, whether it be breathing exercises or sensory exercises to help like ground yourself in the moment and where you're at. Specific activities will be done different for each session, so one activity per session. So biking, hiking, yoga, which is where some of the more specific trainers or certified people come into play. Walking, trail or track, so indoor or outdoor, swimming, Zumba. These are all activities that can, again, take place outdoors whenever the weather's nice and indoors if necessary, but primarily, hopefully, be done outdoors. So, what would be the different evaluation methods to find out if this program works or not? So, first one, just overall, was the program successful in its goals? Were we able to do what we wanted to do and get out of the program what we wanted? Secondly, did the 11th and 12th graders benefit from this? And this is probably one of the best evaluation methods and the most hopeful. Were they actually able to reduce their anxiety, help reduce their stress? Next, were short, mid, and or long-term goals met? Were we able to be successful in the local high schools? Were we able to move this into neighboring counties? And eventually, were we able to get this as a nationwide program? Were we successful in this? Next, were we able to promote physical activity? Were we able to show the benefits? Were we able to teach the kids different ways of physical activity? Then, finally, we'd use surveys to analyze whether or not stress symptoms of anxiety were reduced. And then, public health practice and strategies and policy. Main focus of this, help the community by providing a program that promotes physical activity and the benefits of being in nature to high schoolers. Then, the strategy for this, provide a program that will help teach high schoolers ways to handle anxiety and become healthier through physical activity. And then policy considerations. So first off, having clearances for volunteers, making sure that they're able to be around the kids and everything like that. Next would be just getting approval to run the program in the local communities, counties, and high schools, because that's one of the main considerations that we need is, are we even allowed to be doing this? Then getting certifications to run some activities. Like for yoga and Zumba, I don't think just any college student would be necessarily very qualified to run those programs. And then also whenever it comes to swimming, having lifeguards around, especially if it's done outdoors. If it's not at a local pool, making sure that there's people with that certification to make sure the safety of everyone is at utmost importance. And then going into that, having first aid and CPR certified volunteers, and if not, getting them the certification to be CPR and first aid certified, because again, putting the safety of everyone at first is just the most important for everything whenever it comes to stuff like this. And then with that, here are the references that I used, and thank you.